Hi, I'm Kendall with the Rawls Group. The old African proverb, "it takes a village," illustrates the essential nature of a team approach to succession planning. Succession planning is a complex endeavor. As such, it requires leveraging the expertise of a diversity of backgrounds. Collaboration and different expert opinions provides a 360-degree approach, ensuring the possible, probable, and potential issues impacting your long-term vision are addressed. To provide insight into common questions received from business owners, we are leveraging the village of our valued strategic relationships. As you listen to this episode, you'll be able to immediately apply the key takeaways and you'll come back for more. Now we're going to focus on how do you navigate closely held business transitions when the next gen is not interested in continuing the family business?
Often we get this question, the concept is that the next generation of the family doesn't want to work in the business. And the perception is that means they don't have to continue to own the business. But really, we like to split this question into two sections. One is, do they not want to run the business or work in the business? Or do they also not want to own the business? Because in our minds, those are two different things and think that those should be looked at two separate and distinct roles. The first is they don't want to run the business, and maybe they wish to continue to own it. This becomes a question about education. And how do you educate the next generation to become good stewards of the business going forward as shareholders and likely board members? Organizations like the Rawls Group do a great job in educating families on how to be good stewards of the business, even if they don't work in the day-to-day aspects of it. Another key aspect of ownership is how do you continue to get return and liquidity out of the business? If you want this business to be preserved for generations to come, you want to be sure you're getting non-threatening liquidity sources in there. Those can be like a dividend recap, or maybe even a tax-advantaged ESOP in a sale or a partial sale of the company to the employees. If the question is really one of ownership and the next generation doesn't wish to continue to own the business or be involved at all, the current generation has to decide how to exit on their own terms. This becomes a question not only of duration, how long they want to continue to work, but also one that requires estate planning inputs, as well as the decision on how long they continue to be involved in the day-to-day aspects of the business. Sometimes the sale of a strategic party is the right idea, where you can exit nearly immediately and get all your liquidity at closing. Or maybe the idea is to take on a financial partner, like a private equity firm, to exit over time and continue to be involved for the foreseeable future. Or finally, maybe an exit to the employees is the right idea through a management buyout or the aforementioned tax-advantaged ESOP.
The reality is this is a hard thing for anyone to consider, but there are a number of options for a business owner to consider when moving forward if their kids and next generation are not interested in being active in the management of that business. First, you could keep the business and build a professional management team. This means that the family may be able to continue ownership, may be involved at a strategic level, such as the board of directors, but isn't going to be involved in the day-to-day operations of that business. Obviously, this keeps the business in the family, but there are some drawbacks. There can be conflict between management, especially in the long term, and family members, especially if they're felt to have no engagement or value they're adding to the business. And you have to increase compensation often to these key managers to ensure that they stay there and get the right kind of people for what you're looking to accomplish. The second option is to sell to employees. This option often is a nice option for employers or owners who want to ensure that the business stays in the community and care deeply about their employees. Obviously, there's two different ways to do this. You could sell directly to an employee, a key employee, or a group of employees, or you could sell through like an ESOP structure. The ESOP structure has some regulatory complexities and some ongoing compliance needs, but does create a system where you can spread out some of that risk, provide a real benefit to your employees, and create a real sticky incentive for people to stay and keep the business in that community and keep it strong. Lastly, the obvious option is to sell the business to a third party. This requires an owner to reevaluate what a legacy really is in their situation, but that doesn't mean that you can't do something meaningful and with long-term impact, even if it isn't the business that you've built. For example, when you sell the business third party, often that wealth, there'll be built structures to build that wealth for your family and care for your family through multiple generations. And second of all, often charitable options are created where you can build a charitable foundation or a donor advised fund that your family is all engaged in managing going forward. Third-party sales often get you better prices, but you obviously are a little more worried about what's going to happen to that business and those employees afterwards. Ultimately, there's no easy answers here, but all the options benefit from making some decisions earlier and then taking steps to plan and take action to make them happen and preserve flexibility. If you wait too long and your business is struggling because you're tired and really want out, you're not going to get the same price, you're not going to have the same terms, and you're not going to be able to attract the same buyers, internal or external, that you want for your business and to meet your goals.
This is an interesting situation that brings about some significant opportunities. If they're not interested, I think the first question that you should ask yourself is, how long do you want to stay involved and engaged and active in the business? That really sets the foundation for any kind of strategy that you might choose. Recognize, I think, first of all, that passive shareholders in an active, operating, capital-intensive, management-intensive, risk-intensive business are two really incompatible environments. And so passing the business on to your family when they are not involved in the business is probably not the best idea. If you choose to go that route, just understand that the level of governance needed to manage that kind of environment is way more significant than you've had to deal with before. So if you're interested in governance and boards and all the things that go along with that, then go that route. But understand it is a difficult environment. If you go the route of staying engaged and looking for other opportunities for an exit, I think evaluating your exit strategy, whether it would be a sale to a third party, which is certainly a viable succession alternative, or a sale to a manager or a group of key managers, would be sort of your key options. A sale to a manager or a group of key managers allows you to stay involved for as long as you want to and can be done over a period of time. And I think it's a very attractive way of exiting a business. Sale to a third party is usually kind of cuts you out of the operation altogether, and you have to transition pretty quickly, buy your own car, those kinds of things that come along with that territory, and requires a transition that happens pretty abruptly and can be somewhat dramatic in some circumstances. So I think a sale to a manager or a group of key managers can be very attractive, and there are a lot of ways to structure those, but those would be the pathways that I would encourage you to explore.
Thank you to our strategic partners, The Village, for participating and sharing your perspective. Do you have a burning question you want to discuss with an expert? Feel free to submit it via the Ask an Expert link featured on the page. Continue to listen to the series now or come back later for more. Each question featured may want you to learn something new.